Hello, welcome back to another episode of Axie Infinity Origins Season 1. Now is the day 11 of the meta analysis and team highlight, and let's just see what today's meta looks like. So, you do see the familiar teams, alright, so not much has changed in the very top, right? Do have the sustain and then the beast and then the aggro stuff, and then you do get a poison as well, so pretty similar stuff. But you scroll down a bit and you can see a whole chunk of beast, so you see that the rage beast is definitely getting up there, and yeah, also a bit of sustain as well. So in a way, I must say I think this is kind of how it will be. Having said that though, there are different builds of these kind of beasts as well. There are some which relies a bit more on AoE and some that are not. So we'll actually see how that changes over the balance patch, which should happen in a few days time. But other than that, let me just see if there are any surprising thing. I don't think there is. So yeah, I would say meta nowadays is pretty settled. You do get basically the similar thing that I've already highlighted from before. So nothing much for now. Yeah, I think the balance patch might do something, but given this how small the balance patch is, it might not do very significant amount of changes in terms of the meta. But let's see. Just quickly go through the runes and charms as well in terms of the market, and just really looking at the epic ones, because the rare ones basically doesn't cost too much, and then we don't have any mystic yet. And here, let me actually just refresh and see what we get. And oops, this doesn't show up for some reason, so I just want to do this again. But you can see that, yeah, bloodlust still very strong. Yep, similarly. Okay, let's just see what it is. Okay, 22, so I'm not sure why it doesn't show up, but yeah, so these basically is still these three that's the strongest, and you can still see that despite the nerf that was announced, bloodlust is still the strongest. So I'm not too sure whether they should nerf it even further. And in terms of the charm, might as well refresh it a bit and see. But nothing much has changed really. So the main ones that you should look out for are Leafy Pot, if you get it. Sun Moon Stem, very strong. Coupled with like this disarmed or stun or those things. And then we do have the Mask of Fury, Mask of Frenzy, which is very important for the rage build. That's why it is quite expensive. But the rest, okay, one thing to note is really this one, right? Because there's so many people using Pension Scale beasts, and they want to max the HP to make get the most value. So that's why this charm is actually selling quite a bit. But for the rest, not really. I mean, bubble paste still pretty strong, because the bubble mechanic, I would say, is still pretty strong. So that's why a lot of people still playing Aqua. So yeah, do take note if you do have these runes and charms that you might want to sell off or you might want to keep, because they are pretty strong. Okay, so let's just actually dive into some of the teams, and probably just choose. Okay, today I'm actually want to go into this team here, the poison team, because I haven't really seen a poison for a while already, and definitely a bit different from the rest, and see why this poison actually is so strong, because you don't really see any other poison build up here, so must be doing something right. And let's just see what yeah, Block Stars team is about. And it is a plant reptile, with the plant being having the pure instinct, which basically buffs all the heal and the damage and even the shield, of course. And then the late protection is actually interesting. I do feel like poison touch might be stronger, but I'm not too sure. Maybe they just don't have the right runes and charms, so it might not be the perfect one in terms of the build. But of course, now it's not really the end game yet. It is still, like, I guess, the early meta, so people just get using whatever they get for now. Okay, let's just dive into the actual Axies, and let's look at the back first. Right, this plant has this pure instinct, right? So, and that what it does is that it increases the class card, and all of these except for this, well, this doesn't do anything, right? All of these are basically plants card, so you do buff all of these, including the attacks, shield, heals. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's get into the cards. So has a nerdy, not too sure that's necessary. I mean, okay, what I mean is it could be any other discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many banish kind of card. And the banish actually is interesting. This actually allows this team to be a lot more consistent in terms of getting the poison. So maybe, especially in the beginning of the game, you're getting the heals are definitely not ideal, and you would want to start getting into the yam and then the poisons. So being able to redraw is very strong. Sakura is just for sustain. So actually this is more like a sustain poison build. Actually, well, I say it's more like a poison, sustain, and high damage cards kind of build. So you do have a mix of things. So if you do like using all the mechanics, this might be the team for you. Because there's Sakura for the sustain, a bit of card draw, and then you have the heal as well. Alright, so this of course generates the pure water that then synergizes with Sakura, because every time you use a pure water you do heal with the Sakura. And then so cleanser still very important for kind of a sustain kind of thing. And then you do see that it runs some high attack cards in this build, right? So this series, very high attack, effectively 90, because you do want to use it at the first as a user initial value. And the Yam is just to deal a bit of AoE, get rid from Mavises and stuff like that, and also of course the poison. Okay, and then let's look at the mid. And the mid is the typical poison stuff, like Yam as well. You do note that the cut off AoE with a lot of Yams, so that could still be strong, but not too sure after the nerf would that be as strong. But I do think so, just because it doesn't actually use any of the mechanic like bubbles or rage or anything. And let me just see. Okay, this is probably to do against a poison build. Siren Whisper. A bit of heal is always good, and then the shield that reflects, so that actually gives you quite a lot of value, to be honest. I feel just because it does chip the opponent down, and because it is kind of like a race as well, because you do have attack cards here like this, right, that you can chip the opponent down and actually kill them, as opposed to just waiting for the poison to kill them. And I leave this to the last because this is very interesting. Is because you do get to swap this card if you play initial, right, this heal. You do get to swap cards with a card in a banish pile, and I think the only card that can pass banish is this nerdy. And so basically if you have this initial, you do get to draw a bit more cards. So let's say if you don't like your hand, you do get one of the trickies, then you can try and redraw your hand. So that is actually very important. Probably increases the consistency of this particular build. And of course the front also has tricky, so that's why it is very consistent. Once you have used the nerdy, then you will get it, and then you use it again and get it, so it's pretty strong. And then you can see, yep, the normal poison stuff, but you do see that there is the risky fish, which deals a lot of damage as well, right, initial. And then you do get the tiny dino, which can basically finish opponent off. So this build really has everything. It has heal, it has burst damage in terms of high damage cards, the poison and the heal and the shield and everything. So yeah, it's really a mix of everything. I quite like this team, to be honest, is because they do get to use quite a lot of the different mechanics in the game, and do have quite a lot of decision points. Okay, so actually let's just jump right into the games and see how this actually plays out. And let's just go for this one first. Okay, let's see how this one goes. Let me just pause the video here, and then let's just look at the the runes already, the charms as well. As you can see, the charm, very interesting actually. Didn't actually notice it with this using the sun, which actually decreases the attack of this, but it does allow you to hit the back, so meaning like the furthest enemy, which could be useful if you want to really just chip down the opponent's back. So that is actually very interesting, because usually, right, when I play against a poison build, I do want to keep my back alive, right, just because then that's the hardest for the opponent to get to. But then having the sun do manage to get the opponent's back as well. So what you want to do is really just to get all of your opponent's Axies to be at a similar HP range, so that the poison will take them down at a similar time. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. And then here is mostly just the stat stuff, and then yeah, it's mostly stats as well. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Let's just see this one. Oh, did I miss something here? Yep, so yeah, the leafy pot as well, I missed it. Well, it could be quite important, just because getting the leaf can give you a bit of heal, and that's why it is, well, they're going to use it, and that's why the buff is already appearing. Okay, let's just look at the opponent. Typical rage, Shiba, card draw. Yeah, typical Shiba build, it looks like. Yep, just innocent lamb with confident current tail, so very strong. I feel like this is more to build up for the back, does it look like? Well, 2 pendulum scale, very strong as well. Both of them challenger, of course, because this is a very strong team. Interestingly, only got 1 vulnerable, because kind of Blossom, not too sure like what this does other than getting this. So maybe getting a cactus could be useful for the taunt, right? So you might want to keep this one alive while trying to get the Shiba. So redirect the attack from the front to the mid, and yeah, so of course, like little branch are getting onto the rage and then deal a lot of damage. So this is how it goes. Okay, let's just jump right into the game. Okay, so just getting the shield first for now, and then let's just see. Okay, so getting the bleed, do get the pure water. Yep, do get more pure water, and yep, not using it for now just because saving it for future turns. Okay, Sakura, so now really buffing the mid. I think the mid might be the one that they try to really so-called shield and keep alive. Okay, getting the confident already. That actually get rid of the poison as well. You can see, right? It's could be a anti-poison thing as well. Okay, and yeah, you can see the redraw. Right, you can see how the redraw works. Yep, start getting the poison in, and then the poison. So being able to draw into the poison early is one of the keys to success for this kind of team. Okay, alright, so getting into Fury mode pretty close at this point. I'm probably gonna use the confident as well. Yeah, but innocent lamb probably gonna use it to get a confident, but yeah, okay, using it all, so that hopefully next time get into the Fury mode if a good draw. Okay, so getting the high damage, this is really just to try and get rid of the back before they set up, so that's why the sun could be pretty good. Let's just see if we can get to the free mode. Yep, free mode. No, okay, because very skillfully not actually hitting the front, but so that the Shiva doesn't get value, but still manage to get through the front. Okay, so very strong again, right? The sun really gets the back down, and maybe it is enough that the poison in a few turns might get this down, but this should be a turn where they can get into Fury mode, I would assume. No, okay, do the cactus first just to draw this, do the taunt, get into Fury mode, but only managed to use one attack from the Fury mode, which is a bit unfortunate, I would say. It kind of wasted the Fury mode, so it's pretty unlucky. And then now managed to get the back down already, and now because the back Axie is kind of down, these two might not be able to make it, but I think it's banking to the on the front now to see whether yeah, they can get the Fury mode. But of course the front, well, these two are a pendulum scale, not the buffing attack kind of runes, so it probably won't deal as much damage, but we'll see. Yeah, no reason not to try the chubby, but do get the pure water back, and of course with the Sakura gonna be a bit tough to get through, meaning they're gonna heal back quite a lot. The bleed actually helps a lot though, actually, so maybe they yeah, might not want to. Okay, so they still want to heal, so that hopefully this will stay alive. Okay, so poison stack wise, getting pretty, I mean, quite a lot already. The front is probably the one that the opponent is banking on using to sweep, but very tough draw, unfortunately. So let's just see how this one goes in terms of the draw. Okay, so put more poisons, always good. Are they gonna redraw? They're gonna shield up. Just gonna shield up with a reflect shield, I think, as well, and a bit of a heal. So Fury mode coming, is it? Shiba time. Okay, Shiba do 200 damage, very strong. Chubby deals another 190, so very strong, but unfortunately still not enough, and the Blood Moon is coming as well, so you can see this is more of like a sustained poison build, and yeah, now it's just managed to heal back. Not too sure why not healing the back and instead like keeping the front alive, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. Oh, okay, yeah, and yeah, of course, like the Blood Moon does get the KO, so very strong. You can see it is a hybrid of basically attack, poison, shield, heal, so with a sustain kind of thing, and do manage to get the win. Okay, let's look at another game here and see what we get, because this one looks like it's against another Fury kind of build, and maybe this time around the opponent does get better draws and do get to use the Fury mode a lot more efficiently. So let's just see. So this is probably going to be, oh, it is Stark Axie, so very strong opponent. Oh, okay, retaining the tiny dino as well, so didn't actually get to see it last turn. Okay, so yeah, just putting on the poison at this point, and I think the cleanse could be quite important because you can see a little piece everywhere, right? So cleanse definitely very important. Okay, opt for the dual blade just to get rid of the cleanse, and then now the vulnerable. And yeah, just use all the confidence just to buff up the back. And let's just see if Blockstar can actually get to the back. I don't think so, unfortunately. So now it's just really getting the poisons up. Yeah, I just really just put poison for now. Poison, keeping a tiny dino. Yeah. So last game actually didn't see a tiny dino. Maybe it was a different Axie. Oh, free mode already, crazy. Oh my goodness, 330 damage, and then still got another 2 attacks left. This is yeah, I mean, yeah, you can see why like this is no way of winning if you can just do 330 damage in one hit. Yeah, opponent's team, Stark Axie's team, is very efficient in getting into Fury mode with so many confidence. Yeah, now it's really like a sustained build mode basically, where you just try to yeah, survive, but then okay, actually Shiba not active, that's why I opt not to play the Shiba, but still Ronan does so much. Let's just see. Okay, the poison will actually take the front Axie into Shiba. But okay, so definitely try and deal with the back, but then yeah, I feel like a bit too late at this point. Do get to heal back a bit, but the vulnerable should be over this turn. Let's just see. But yeah, opponent's still very healthy, and it's only turn 9, right? And that's why it is tough. Yep, getting the vulnerable again. Okay, but doesn't actually get to Fury mode yet, but yeah, I mean, Ronan KO this as well, or anything really at this point, doesn't even matter. And now it's 1-on-3. Not sure how to deal with this with 1-on-3, and you can see the opponents going back to Fury mode again very soon, but the key is that the opponent's back actually is still alive, and that's gonna deal so much damage. You just can't, well, I mean, you have a lot of shield, but you can see there's not much you can do. Do the confident, yeah, the Shiba, right, get into Fury mode, everything into Fury mode. this all free remote at this point vulnerable, and then this deals probably 300 something damage at this point. Yeah, 364, crazy damage. So no way of surviving this kind of 3 free remote kind of game. So that is GG. Okay, so now you can see how you can actually play against poison build. Of course, depends on the draws, but if you have so efficient a way of getting the free remote, it is going to be quite tough to play against, and I assume that this is going to still be the meta for the next for this season, just because this just demonstrated how crazy this kind of free remote team could be. So alright, this is it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed my video, do consider giving me a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, and use my Lenosian code Morris. Thanks again, and have a good one.